Okay, so we've done the outside of the bowl, we've got the shape that we want, and we've got it nice and smooth now because we've run over it again with the internal beveled hook. So we've got a nice smooth surface, and then just before we start to turn it round, we just start to shape over the top. So we're not leaving it flat, we're actually starting to create our rim now. So I don't know whether you can see, we've just started to cut in again to create half the rim from this side, and then when we turn it around we'll create half the rim from the other side, because there's only so far you can go around with this tool purely because your body gets in the way. So we've created that first chamfer, so I'll just show you again how we do that. So we start the cut, and then as I come round the corner I start to tilt the tool so that I'm cutting into the bowl itself. Can you see that little chamfer that we're making there? Okay, so we've got a little concave. Then if you want to, you can use this tool to just put a little bit of detail in. If you wanted to put a little decorative line like that, so just a couple of little notches in there just to make it look a little bit prettier, and you can do whatever you wanted to at that stage, but I'd keep it simple for the first few bowls and just learn the process. So at that stage we've done all the outside, we've done the base, it's now time to turn it round. So we can just support the mandrel, we can get our mallet and we can knock our wedge out and slide our poppet along. Now it's important that you don't just turn it round, because the string will be wrapped around the wrong way and it will just be running backwards. So turn your bowl blank round and then actually re-wrap your cord, like so. If you want to, you can put a little bit more oil on the centres so that it's nice and smooth, so it doesn't burn into our centres too deeply. So not that uptight. Now the great thing about the bungee is you can just push that loop along and readjust where the string's running. We want to try and get the string running as far at this end of the mandrel as possible, purely so that if there's any wobble or movement on the mandrel, it tries to not exaggerate it too much. So you can get your tool rest a little bit closer and we can start roughing out the inside. So we go back to the external hook, the very first hook that we used, and we're going to take a slightly different grasp this time. We're not going to grip the shaft of the tool, we're going to grip the tool rest itself so that this can pivot, and also if this digs in it can just slide through my fingers. So I'm going to come quite high so the tool is well below the centre, and I'm going to come back about an inch, keeping this as a fixed point, and I'm going to push in with my hand like that, and that will scribe this arc and it will just chew up that first inch or so of the surface. So see how we're starting to knock off those saw marks. And you can also start to blend the rim into that rim that we created half from the other side. So we can just start to knock that into one another like that, and just get that surface nice and rounded. So we've got a nice rounded rim to our bowl now. Going a little bit smoother. So now we've pretty much got the edge sorted, so now we can start to think about the excavating. Now we do the hollowing with this same hook, but we use it in two different styles. We've got two different cuts, as it were. So the first cut is a bit like how we did the base. We're going to hold it so that we're off the bevel, and we're going to do a pretty horrible shearing cut now, quite close to the core, quite close to the centre. Now it's not on the bevel, so if it does bite and snag, it will just throw the tool away again. So we use this grip to create a bit of a hollow to start with. So we've made that little dip, and then what we do is we flip the tool over. Now I support the long tool handle itself sort of underneath my arm like that, so I've got lots of support, and then I'm going to get it on the bevel now, and I'm going to run down and into that hollow. So we start the cut. Now this will leave a much smoother surface, but it will also remove all the waste wood, so it's a much sweeter cut and it's less demanding on the tool as well. So you can go again if you wanted to. Now it's important that you stop that cut as the nose of the hook starts to cut uphill into that big bulk of timber. If you just push on and try and get it to cut, it will just snag and it will just dig in and it will loosen your mandrel again. So once you get close to that core, flip it over and you'll do that same cut, but now that you've got a bit of a hollow, you will actually be running on the bevel. You're actually chasing that core down now. Like so. And again, when you get to the bottom, you can remove a little bit more with that shearing cut. You can see it leaves a pretty horrible finish. And then we can flip it over again and run down into that surface. Now what I tend to do is I tend to time my treadles with my blink. So as soon as I treadle down and I create a lot of chip, I actually blink my eyes. So my eyes are actually shut when those shavings are coming towards me. Some people will say, well, why don't you just wear safety specs? But they tend to steam up when I'm wearing them, so I just tend to time my blinks. So you can keep going on like that until we've made a bit more of an impression. So it's literally a series of chops. So you're going one way and then the other. I like to think of it as a bit like when you chop into a log with an axe. You don't just chop straight in like that because it will just bind. You chop at a 45-degree angle and then an opposing 45-degree angle and the chip will fly out. It's basically what we're doing here. We're always throwing the chip out into the open. So I'll carry on a little bit, remove a little bit more timber, and then in a bit you can come back and see how to finish it off.